tired, so I should have my voice. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here. So I want to let you know that on Friday, Gail and I went to Emma and John's house. And I want to be transparent with you that AME to CME, pastor to pastor, assistant spiritual director to spiritual director, I told John, I know the food at that hospital is good, but you just doing too much. And, we don't want you in there anymore.
That's right.
But glad to be able to serve and to be here today. But I want to encourage all of us. You know, Pat told me last week, John is a special human being. And there was so much love in those words. And to remind us to pray for John. And yes, all those selfish prayers, I want him to be healthy because I want him to be here, but for John to have joy in his life and to enjoy his life and to live his best life. Because when he does those things, that's what's brought to us. So yes, enough of that hospital food. We'll continue to hold space. If you just join me now, holding space, being grateful for him, the gift of him, the vision of him that we step into every Sunday, and that he would continue to have a life full of fun, joy, and happiness, and so it is. So my top title today is Preparing for an Abundant Harvest, and using as our text Luke 8:8, still other seed fell on fertile soil. This seed grew and produced a crop that was 100 times as much as had been planted. And so even though summer is my favorite season, even with the humidity and my hot flashes, I still love the summer. Autumn is upon us. It's there when I walked out the other day, that crispness in the air, and we're transitioning from summer to fall. Tomorrow is the equinox. And I love this harvest time. We were in Nashville, and they had the farmer's market. You know, usually every year when Gail permits me, I go to Trader Joe's and I get my little pumpkins and gourds. I get about 10 and I put them on our altars and stuff. And they're in now. I was like, I didn't know they came in this size. You have to control yourself. But even to go to Sprouts last week and to see all those gourds, to see the harvest, to see the goodness that is coming in, it just made me think, what is more for the value of the valley? So grateful that Spirit through John chose this theme. And what is the value in the valley for us? And part of the valley and its value is that it is fertile ground. What makes it a fertile ground is that rivers ran through it and watered the land and then brought the minerals and things with it from wherever the river was coming from. And I think about in my own home state, San Joaquin Valley. It's the breadbasket of California. We have the Sequatchie Valley here and the East Tennessee Valley that grows and produces, and that there is an opportunity for us in the valley to be in a fertile place to where we can grow and prepare for an abundant harvest. And as people of the Spirit, we're wanting to harvest love and joy and wealth and abundance and health. And it's available to us all the time. So that's the beauty, where we can have our harvest every day. We can draw those things to us continuously. But it's all based on what are we sowing into the fertile ground of the valley we find ourselves in. So how do we prepare for an abundant harvest? Well, the first thing is you got to get the ground ready. You know, that old saying, you got to break up that fallow ground. That, you know, if I go out to the parking lot of my Kroger and just throw some seeds, not too much stuff's going to grow on that asphalt. Now, I see those. Michael Beckwith used to say, life is life. And when you see those weeds coming up through the sidewalk, they're letting you know. But that's not a good way to invest my seeds, throwing it in the asphalt of the parking lot, or just, you know, throwing it in here on the ground. But that there are areas in my life that I am great at producing things. And I work that ground. But there are other areas where I may be fearful, or I don't have belief in myself, or I don't think that's an area where I can grow, or people won't approve of me doing that. And that ground has become hard. and rocky and full of unhealthy roots. And to prepare for that abundant harvest of all that Spirit is as and through me, I've got to break up that ground. I've got to get, now you can see I'm a city girl, get whatever those implements are that people use and break it up. And sometimes that breaking it up is crying or looking at myself and saying, stop going around and walk through this life experience so that you can grow from it. Telling myself the truth. Or having people in your life who will tell you the truth. We had a friend staying with us, and she told me something about my little foray into real estate. She told me, you were off target. You were off course for who you are. And I could have been like, well, get out. I don't know. I wouldn't have been like that. But I was like, this is love. This is someone saying, break up that fallow ground. Get back on course. And grow the seeds, or grow where there's your harvest at. And I really appreciate that. And that for us, that fallow ground are people's opinions about us. You know, that sometimes you say, well, this is how you are, this is how you are, this is how you are. But that ground has become hard because until I believe that about myself, or I'm going to replant those seeds, we've got to break it up. We've got to prepare it. We've got to be aware of those areas where our heart may be hardened. And break those up, because that's where that water can continue to run through. It can be fertile ground. And part of breaking up especially as people of spirit, it's about stepping aside. Like I think of all the Methodists in here today. You know, we really had to go to a new place and come out of that familiar area. But there are those of us who have thoughts that I have no value because I had a man tell me one time, I can't be important because there's no important people in my family. I can't succeed because there's no successful people in my family. And part of breaking up that fallow ground is going off this square that I'm used to working with my implements and saying, let me work this ground over here. Let me work this ground over here. You cannot discover new oceans unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore you are familiar with. Wait, say that again. You cannot discover new oceans unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore that you are familiar with. And then the process that sometimes we don't like about the valley because it's that pruning. I see that pruning thing and I think, oh, can that feel good to the tree? You hear that as that thing is cracking. But sometimes there's stuff that needs to be broke off of us, shook off on us, pulled off of us. Because we think it's who we are. And then someone comes along and says, no, you're not like that, let me get that. No, I see God in you, let me get that. And then mostly, those of us that got children, they come with those shears and say, let me get. That's what my daughter said. I said, oh, girl, church, I'm be wearing a new cheetah top. She goes, girl, you have enough cheetah clothes. I said, I'm going to put her up for adoption. She's not But any mother in here that has a daughter has heard these words, you're not leaving the house like that. Oh. Actually, I was. So our children, our friends can sometimes be those instruments of pruning because they know the truth and they can speak that truth to us. That in that process of preparing for abundant harvest, because you have too much stuff, like our poor pear tree in our yard, we didn't know what we were doing. It's like, oh, we have too many, oh, you can see the pears are sitting on the ground and it's just too much. That the harvest comes where there's newness, where there's life, where we make room for it. So let's talk about what are the seeds, that good seed that'll bring me back 100-fold. And so today I want to take from the Buddha, the Noble Eightfold Path, and I want to take 3 aspects of that today, incorporate those practices for preparing and creating an abundant harvest. What are the seeds that I'm going to sow, that we sow to have that abundant harvest? Those seeds are right thought, right speech, and right action. Right thought. Your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. Will you have flowers or will you have weeds? What are you planting? What is the seed that you're putting in that fertile ground of the harvest? Are you having thoughts that empower, evolve, and honor, and align you and me with our highest self, with our highest purpose? Or are we listening to those old tapes, those old values from our childhood, from our relationships, from other people's opinions? And that keeps being planted in our garden, and then that's what comes up. What thoughts produce an abundance of good flowers, of a harvest that we want to have? Philippians 4:8. Fix your thoughts on what is true, honorable, right, pure, lovely, and admirable. Now, I have some friends that love to talk to me about how they feel about Donald Trump. And I can get on there right with them. But it's not worth the investment of my thoughts on that. Now, I'd rather have my thoughts invested on Idris Elba or Queen Latifah. I love both those people, right? But again, I can invest my thoughts on those things that can change, that I can empower, that I can bring my light and love onto. What are those thoughts that are lovely, pure, admirable? Think on these things. The question is, what thoughts are you sowing into the valley? Abundance, love, light, expansion, evolution, miraculous, magical, crazy. Right speech. This is a lie that I was taught as a child. And I never taught this to my daughter, because by the time I had her, I knew this was a lie. This is the lie I was taught. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm. That is, I can't even say that while I say lie, 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 lie. I would rather have been hit by a bus at times than the words that have hurt, and the words that I myself have used to hurt others. What are we sowing into the fertile ground with our mouth? I'll never be loved. No one loves me. I'm not going to be worth anything. They'll never promote me. I'll never be valued. You know, my family this, my family that. What are those words that are coming out of your mouth? You know, we see nowadays that words have meaning. You see all these comedians getting into trouble lately for saying stuff that they may have believed at one time and may still believe, but that there are consequences to what you say. But not just in whether you're going to get a job or not, but what is your life? What are you saying that'll show up in your life later today, tomorrow, next month? Words are things. The Hebrew word for words is the same word for things, because words are things. I have some self-love affirmations that I want us all to say today. Because when my daughter was born, I grew up in a loving home. I had everything I ever needed. I never went without a thing. And I had 98.9999999 of what I wanted. But I don't remember hearing the words, I love you. But I was loved. So when my daughter was born, I had a little speech for her. Put her in my arms, and of course she was crying. And I said, Lily, I love you. And I want you. And I welcome you into my life. Because I wanted that on some level I knew she would understand. She says, well, what do you think I was saying? I said, what you always say, do you have food and do you have money? But to hear those loving words, that's right, most of us are like, yeah. Hear those loving words. The love, I mean, I told we had some friends over the other day, I said, what brought me back to the church that second week? The love. I was like, whoa, let me get some more of that stuff. Love heals. Love transforms. Love releases. Love empowers. But we're so quick to give that out. how about some love right here? You know, just because you get your nails done and your hair done, and that is a form of love, but when do you speak to yourself? When do you say words of love to yourself? And people say, I want to find someone to love. Well, fine, love yourself. And so I have some affirmations that I want us to say today. I'll say them first, and then you repeat after me. I am wonderful just the way I am.
I am wonderful just the way I am.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
I am loved and beloved.
I am loved and beloved.
Thank you so much. So let's talk about another concept, or what is right speech. My mom's pastor's wife was talking one day, I think it was Mother's Day, and she said that she learned this term from her, she's from Atlanta, she heard this term from her grandmother, that sometimes when it comes to this mouth, the best speech can be, her southern word was, hush. Just hush. Sometimes you just gotta hush. You know, there's a reason. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. What speech seeds are you sowing in the valley? And then lastly, right action. We've all heard the saying, actions speak louder than words. And that's true. I think an update of that saying, or a companion to that saying, is, you are what you do, not what you say you do. You are what you do, not what you'll say you do. And I remember a phrase that was taught to me a long time ago, and I didn't like it. I'm better now, so I'll say it is, who you are under pressure is who you are. That's right. Dead silence! But how we act, what are the actions? Are we showing actions of love, of empowerment? Now, I want people to feel powerful. You know, say, well, no, I'm a spiritual person, so I'm a humble. I don't get that. I don't see Jesus being humble master Jesus. He was like, hey, going in the temple, just throwing stuff around. Oh, you need the tax. Go get some fish. Okay, well, y'all hungry? Here we go. He knew his power. And he was willing to act in that. There are people around us who want to know what it's like to be powerful. What it's like to be free. What it's like to be bold. And they need to see it in us spirit-filled people. What actions are we sowing in the fertile valley? The valley is a fertile ground for us to prepare well for our harvest. We can have our harvest at any time. And so my question is to all of us, while we're in the valley and we're finding the value of the valley, what are we sowing? I end today with a quote from Margaret Thatcher, and again, I may not always agree with her politics, or with her when she was alive, but this quote is right on target. Watch your thoughts, for they will become actions. Watch your actions, for they will become habits. Watch your habits, for they will forge your character. Watch your character, for it will make your destiny.
This place now, knowing something greater than I knew before. My mind and heart are open with new awareness of the power I have in my life. I look within and focus on the wisdom of God, knowing it is completely present wherever I am. My new thoughts go forth and change my experience, creating a life filled with peace, love, and joy. And so it is.
Good morning, Uncle Mark.
Good morning, Renee.
I invite you to take a breath, releasing this breath, knowing that there is only one presence and one power in the universe, and that is God. And as each of us takes in all that we have learned today, we take it in, we make it our own, and we simply live from those very truths. We give thanks for all who have participated today. We give thanks for the message, the centering moment, the affirmative reading, and just all of the beautiful energy that each and every person has brought into the space and into this place today. And moving forward, knowing that there are some seeds that I can plant in the valley to have just a beautiful, abundant harvest. Yeah, there may be a couple of areas in my life where I need to take the pruning shears, I might need to break up some stuff, but I can plant seeds of love, seeds of joy. Doesn't matter what people used to say about me, I can plant those seeds that will make me grow and grow more abundant. So I use my right thoughts, I use my right speech, I use my right action to grow an abundant harvest. I release, I let go, and I let God, and so it is.
So it is.